Good morning. Actually, yeah, it's still morning. It's 11:30. So good morning, everybody in Facebook land. It's Lesley Hodge with Wichita Area Real Estate Experts and eXp Realty. And today I wanted to introduce somebody to you, Jason Gengler from Sherwin Williams. He is our Sherwin Williams Rep that we use when we're buying paint for our flips and for real estate reasons. And I just wanted to invite him onto this quick podcast so that everybody understands that Sherwin Williams 1 is still open, and they have some different ways that people are going about getting their paint and about some of their new product line that they have out. So without further ado, Jason, if you could introduce yourself and give everybody an update on how they're going about ordering paint right now.
Sure. So we've taken pretty long strides in the last few days just to try and change our entire approach to how we help customers. It's hard to do when you can't be face to face necessarily. But what's worked the best is to have customers call ahead, let us know what you need. We can generally take care of most things over the phone as far as what we need to be able to make an order for you guys. And then once you get to the store, call the store when you're at the parking lot. Tell them, hey, I'm here ready to pick up my order. If you want to do credit card, we can do credit card over the phone. Or if you already have a charge account going, one of our pro accounts that you signed up for, that can also be used, obviously, to be able to bill out the paint. And then we'll either bring it out to you, load it up into your vehicle, or if you'd rather, we can just bring it out, set it down. You don't have to get out of your vehicle. We go back inside and you load up as needed. So it's a way to be able to still practice the social distancing and still be able to get the supplies and materials that you need. There are some things that we're kind of out of nationwide as far as the masks and some of the personal protection stuff. We've been hit awful hard on those, and whatever we've come up with extra, we've been actually donating to hospitals and local police and that sort of a thing, those folks that are kind of on the front lines there too, working with folks. So but we have had very little to no interruption with our supply chain as far as us getting material in, as far as paints goes, and we've been able to work around a lot of things over the last few days. If you have matches, like if you bring something to us to match, like if there's a piece of the wall or trim or stain or something like that, we do ask you to call the store and let them know that you have a match. Some stores are taking them, some stores aren't. So they're kind of leaving it up to the store management there to decide whether or not they want to bring material in, obviously because of exposure reasons. But other than that, we're still going strong and still doing our thing and trying to make our way through this whole process. So
That's awesome. I mean, that you guys are still just up and running. I know that with a lot of people being stuck at home, there's no excuse for them not to be checking off their honey-do list of all the projects
right.
that they've been nagged for a while to do.
Yep.
Something that I really think is awesome about Sherwin Williams, and I'm sure it's come in handy lately with our current situation, is your guys' website is great about, you can upload a photo of your room. You can look and see what different paint colors are going to look like on the walls. I know when I'm doing exterior projects, for sure, I'm always uploading a photo of the house and then playing around to see what paint colors I like with that property. So I know that that has been super handy. Is that how most people are picking their colors at this point?
Yeah. So you can, like you said, you can take pictures, use those to upload and color different ways. You can also pictures that you find online. So if there's a house that you see online, whether you're looking through Pinterest or looking through house.com or any of these other places where folks can get ideas, a lot of times you can save that picture on your browser and then upload it into the color visualizer, and you can drag little bubbles around little areas that you like certain colors, and it'll come up with the closest Sherwin Williams color. So it's a good way to explore color. find something that you like, whether it's a picture you've taken or a picture you found on the internet, and utilize that tool to be able to discover different colors that you might not necessarily know about. And then it's a really good starting point to be able to figure out kind of which direction you want to go with color and explore it a little bit. So if you're not 100% sure, I say it's still always a good idea to get some paint on the surface to really see what it looks like in person versus on a screen. But we do have our small sample quarts, so we call them color to goes, and those can be ordered in pretty much any color. So that gives you a little bit of product to be able to put on the wall, whether it's outside on siding or inside on a wall. Gives you a chance to look at it over a couple days, let the light come in on the morning, let it, see what it looks like in the evening and that sort of thing, and make sure that's really what you want. So it's a good tool to be able to use to really get it dialed in. So
yeah, it does definitely make a difference, depending on what time of day it is. I know that I've painted stuff before, especially gray. Gray has been really popular now for the last 10 years. And it's like when it first was coming out, I started painting it on one wall and then came back to it later in the day and it looked green and I was like, I hate it. So we had to repaint.
Grays are tough.
Yeah. One of the projects that I've seen a lot of questions asked about lately on Facebook is cabinets. So what do you think the best recommendation is for these people that are wanting to get rid of their honey oak colored cabinets and giving them that Chip and Joanna white kitchen that they're looking for?
So the biggest thing with those is prep. So kitchens can get dirty. Kitchens are somewhere where cabinets really need to be cleaned very well first. The best thing to do is to use a primer first to be able to make sure we're bonding to the surface prior to your top coat. With any product, clean, dry, and dull surface is your best surface. So if they're very super shiny, glossy, a little bit of sanding would be needed. And then I always like to recommend the oil-based primers, because in kitchens there's naturally going to be things on the surface, grease, even from your hands, from cooking, that sort of thing. And that oil-based primer is the only way to ensure that after a coat, you're going to seal everything out and don't have any stains bleeding through. So preps is key. Clean, dry, and dull surface. Prime it with an oil, and then at that point, top coat with either our emerald urethane, just kind of our top of the line for cabinetry for trim work inside. Pro Classic is also another product that has done very well for a long time. But any of those products would be perfectly fine. And at that point, you can switch to a latex version to make sure the odors aren't too bad. But that's the best system that we have that time after time has worked flawlessly. So
I know we just used the emerald line for trim in the house that we just finished in Willow Bend, and the painter was really impressed with the coverage on that line. I mean, did a great job. And it even, on oak, it's got such a grain, such a texture to it that it even helped fill in some of that texture.
Yep. And we've got, we have a few different primers that can be used as well. We have actually it's a catalyzed product. It's a higher end product, but it does a really good job of building. So you can build the millage or the thickness of the material to help to kind of fill in that grain on some of those woods. You find that some of the primers will fill a little bit better than others, to where you can get a really good smooth surface in the end. So
I know I had one of our agents, she was posting stuff about painting her cabinets. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. And she was asking if anybody had used like the milk paint on their kitchen cabinets. I mean, what's your recommendation for that?
On the milk paint, you'd still want to, same with the primer, you still want to get a nice substrate that paint is going to bond to. So it's still going to be essential to get basically everything sealed out first. So it's not too terribly different from a regular system. it's really won and lost in the prep. So that I can't stress enough the prep and getting things clean and ready for the material, ready for paint. So.
As for, this is something that I had no idea when I built my first house, you know, most of well, they never asked if I wanted a different finish on my paint. And so I remember, yeah, you know, I picked out the colors and I was super excited. And then, you know, 6 months later, it looked like it totally needed repainted again because it was that flat paint. So give us a little idea of what the differences are other than Sheen, between a flat versus, you know, high gloss, those types of things.
Sure. So generally speaking, when it comes to paints, the shinier the surface, the easier it is going to be to wash. And that's just kind of been the mentality of Sheen paints for a really long time. We have products now that are 100% washable even in a flat finish. Our Duration Home and our Emerald Interior are the two products that are 100% washable even in a flat finish. So with those products, you get the best of both worlds. You have the duller Sheen that will do a better job of hiding imperfections in the walls, and it also will give you 100% washability. So there was always a trade-off between washability and too glossy of a surface that's going to show a lot of imperfections before these products came out. But now with the technology that's there with washability, you can have virtually flat finishes that typically look the best and are easier to touch up, and you also have 100% washability. So it's been kind of a game changer. It's a nice feature.
What would you say that the number one choice is for like a wall finish on an interior and then also on an exterior paint?
Interior, flat or a matte finish. Matte has just a little bit of sheen to it, but not much. And then of course the flats are really no sheen at all. Exterior, as far as our products goes, satin is going to be the top pick. Our satin exterior is a shiny satin. We actually don't have a semi-gloss labeled exterior paint. It jumps straight to gloss from satin. So I would say if you next side by side, our exterior satin would be very similar in sheen to like an interior semi-gloss. So that's not going to be like an interior paint satin. It's going to be a little bit shinier satin on the outside. But I would say, you know, 95% of the time, exteriors are always done in our satin finish.
That makes sense. I mean, we see a lot of, I mean, and I think again, it's because people relate that to just durability, and it's going to be out in the climate changes and sun and all of that. So on the exterior stuff, do they put like a UV coating in it on the paint?
So all the products have what are called UV inhibitors in them. As you go up in product quality, they have more in it, basically. It's the sun. You can't stop the sun. You can't say 100% this will never fade because it's the sun. But we can put more of the, you know, quote unquote, the good stuff in it, the better raw materials that are better suited to fight against UV sunlight. So I'll tell you the first thing to go really is that sheen that we talked about on exterior. You'll start to see it kind of fade a little bit in glossiness. And then at some point you'll start to see the color fade out a little bit. So as you get up in higher quality, the resistance to it's called gloss retention and color retention. So gloss retention and color retention both get better as you get up into the higher end products. So you pay a little bit more, but you have a finish that's going to last longer and look better doing it for a longer period of time.
I think when we sat and had lunch a couple weeks ago, there was one of the ones that you even said it almost had like was it that it had a warranty to it, the highest end one?
So pretty much all of the products will have, depending on the system itself, our Emerald, Duration, and our resilience products all carry a lifetime warranty on adhesion. Resilience and duration, actually, I'm back up. Resilience would be a 2-coat product over a sealed surface. We get into our duration exterior and our emerald, and you can do 1 coat. You do have to apply heavier, but those will also carry a lifetime warranty on adhesion as well. So
As far as paint colors go, what are some of the top picks that you're seeing for interior, and what are some of the top color picks you're seeing for the outside?
well, you mentioned it earlier, and it's a lot of the grays. The grays are super popular inside and out. There are you know, a lot of people are just using white. It's called extra white. It's just straight out of the can white. Some of the grays that are popular out there are some of the trying to think of one of the colors right now.
We use Gauntlet Gray, and it's awesome. I love the color of it. It's a warmer color. It's not that cold gray color.
Gauntlet Gray is a good. There's a real popular site. There's a color called Cyberspace. A little bit lighter color. We have one that's called Online. Gosh, there's so many grays. Some of the, I would say more of the cool grays are probably the most popular. You start looking at some of those grays. Grays is a version of a color, like whether it's, you know, gold or blue or some of these other tones. It's not, someone will come in and say, I need a pure gray. There's no such thing as a pure gray. They're always a version of another color. So grays can take on different looks and different colors. But there's quite a few to choose from for sure.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I mean, it's like, if you go onto the site and you just type in gray, you're going to get, you know, way more than 50 shades of it for sure.
Yes. Yep. Some of them look a little tan. Some of them look a little greener. It just, you know, just depends on where you're at in the color selector. So
yeah, that's interesting to hear that the cool ones are the more popular right now. And I was talking to a designer, Brooke, down in Dallas, and she was telling me that they're seeing a lot more of the warm, you know, that kind of a beige color trend starting to happen. But that doesn't surprise me because Wichita's always a little bit slower on the current trend. So I could see that. I mean, so if you're wanting to paint your house right now to appeal to the Wichita market, I definitely still grays. But for future, if you're wanting to hold it, I would even look into some of the warmer colors that we're seeing in bigger cities for right now.
Yep.
Any other trends that you're seeing as far as exteriors or interiors?
Not so much. The stains that we see are really, really dark stains, you know, darker tone stains. Of course, that's been kind of the trend for a little while now. We've gotten away from the honey tone and the light stuff. You'll still see some antiquing out there. So folks are still doing the white cabinetry, and then some will have the glaze or the antiquing in it that will, you know, just offer up something just to break up, I think, some of the pure white that a set of cabinets and that can bring to a, you know, say a kitchen might help to hide a little bit of dirt too, possibly, as far as, you know, the look of keeping them clean. We were just doing a match this morning for a contractor that we were doing an off-white cabinet with a glaze finish to it. So that's still, you know, popular, still out there. But the grays are that's pretty much the big deal right now, gray and white. So.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to be on this podcast with us. I know you had to go out in your truck just so you could get some quiet time to do this with me. So I appreciate it, and tell all the staff I appreciate your time away from them. But I just think it's good info to have while people are at home and they're wanting to knock out some projects, that they at least hear it from the experts. So if you guys have any other questions, head into your local Sherwin Williams. They are wonderful to work with and very helpful on advice. I know we've been using them for years. So again, Jason, thank you for being on here. Tomorrow
No
we're going to
problem.
Ben Henwood on to talk about flooring trends. So I'm curious to hear what all he has to say and how it ties into the paint colors that have been so popular. So have a great afternoon, Jason. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Leslie.
See you soon.
All right. Bye.